What's going on, guys? Jake here from the Fiend. Thanks for tuning back into another fly tying tutorial. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to tie up a pretzel nymph. I'm going to throw a fresh hook in the vise, and we're going to get right in this tutorial. The first thing you're going to want to do to build this wired body is I just build this off fly first, mainly because when you're twisting in these wires, they do break, so it's kind of a hassle to tie your whole fly, get to the spot where you're tying in your wire and it break out. So I'm just tying this on a big jig hook. I'll grab my thread, throw a base down. You're going to grab two colored wire. For this one, this is my favorite kind of duo that I've been using. It's olive and hot yellow, both in size small. And you're just going to secure your wire in on that hook shank like you would any other type of fly, just like that. I'm going to pull this. So I got probably about 8 inches or so of wire. I'm going to pull it, loop it around my finger like this. Right, put it on there. You want that tight. You want the loop section tight. Then you can just tie that in. Then you're left with a nice loop with your two colored wire. So it's definitely super critical to keep this nice and smooth and flat. You're gonna get the best twist and most consistent pattern. So what I like to do is just throw my dubbing tool in the end there, and I pretty much just hold it like chest level. Just put in kind of half twists, keeping a little bit of tension on the wires. Just take your time with this. I find that about 6 inches or so is the most ideal length. I tried doing some long ones so I could get like a couple flies out of one, but it didn't twist up as well as the shorter ones. So as you can see, it's starting to tighten up really nice. And I just keep going till it either breaks off on me or it starts to sway, and you can kind of see it that it can't twist anymore. So it just broke right there. Broke actually on the dubbing end. And once it's all twisted really tight, it's not going to loosen on you. So I just have an old pair of scissors here. Cut it right off the base. Then you got your wire. So I'm going to throw a fresh hook in the vise, and I'll show you how to tie this fly. The hook I'm tying this fly on is a Firehole Sticks 5/16 in a size 12. I have that paired up with a 3.5mm slotted tungsten gold bead, and the thread I'm going to be using is UTC 7 denier in olive green. So I'm going to start my thread right behind the back of that bead, creating a small thread dam so my bead doesn't bounce around on me. I'm going to take thread wraps down to where the hook barb would be and cut out my thread. The first material I'm going to be tying in is our tail. And I'm going to take about 3 to 4 pheasant tails. These are dyed olive. I'm going to tie these right on top. And I'm going to make a tail about the size of the hook shank. So I'm going to take my thread back up towards the bead, and I'm going to tie in these tails with it, keeping the body nice and smooth. I'm going to grab my wire assembly. It's going to be our body. I'm going to tie this in right behind the back of the bead, just like that, on the side of the hook shank, facing towards the camera. So I'm going to take some nice tight wraps here, binding this wire to the side of the hook shank. Take nice tight thread wraps back up, and you're left with a nice smooth tapered underbody. So I'm going to take this wire assembly, make a nice tight first wrap there. You want these wraps almost touching each other like you would like a copper john. I'm just using the rotary feature on my vise so I can get it nice and tight, smooth. Take my thread, capture that wire. I like to leave a little bit of space behind the back of that bead for the rest of my materials to be tied in. I'm just going to helicopter the rest of that out. You're left with a nice clean break off point. So next thing you're tying in is our thorax. I'm just going to take a very small pinch of ice dub in the color peacock. Just going to add just the smallest amount. This is going to add a little bump for our CDC to kind of lean against, just like so. I'm going to throw in a dubbing loop, put my dubbing spinner in there, take a natural colored CDC feather, I'm going to strip about 6 to 8 fibers off the side of the stem. I just keep them in my fingers and I throw them in that loop. You could use a clip. I like throwing them in a loop rather than tying it in with the stem, just because the stem takes up lots of room, and on smaller flies it becomes a hassle. So I'm just going to take my wraps there with my CDC loop, just like so. Then I'm going to create another dubbing loop. This one's going to be for our collar. And for a collar, I'm just going to be using some natural hare's ear. This is a custom blend that I've blended. It's mostly guard hair, so around the eyes, the ears, kind of that area. There's no fluffy under fur in it. I like this a lot for a lot of my nymphs. It holds water really well, and just makes it look that much buggier. This is hard to dub just right onto the thread. You could use like a little beeswax if you want to use it just as a regular dubbing, but I use it just for collars and dubbing loops, and it's pretty easy to work with. So I'm just going to spin that in there. cut out the rest of that dubbing loop. Take some nice tight wraps there. Grab my whip finish tool. You can just throw in a 4 or 5 turn whip finish. Cut out that thread, and you're good to go. So it's a cool little fly, very, very durable with the wired body. It does add a little bit of weight, nothing crazy, but it is ideal. Super bomb-proof fly. I've been fishing it for steelhead, that's why I've been tying it in these larger sizes, 14 and 12. Tie a few of these up, let me know how you do with them. If you have any questions about the fly, you can drop that down in the comment section below. Drop a thumbs up on the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Thanks a lot again for watching, guys, and we'll catch you in the next tutorial.